and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Do you see it? Do you hear it? Can you smell it in the air? The Democratic Party is afraid. The DNC establishment is afraid. For the first time in a long time, it is scared, as it should be. And we should rejoice in the fact that the Democratic Party is growing concerned over Dr. Cornel West and his bid for the Green Party nomination and running in the 2024 election cycle. Now, I am in the belief that I believe that Dr. Cornel West's campaign has the power as well as the name recognition to win the Green Party nomination. Now, again, anything can be said and anything can happen, but Dr. Cornel West is clearly a name that is putting fear in the DNC. And I'm happy to see this. I'm happy to see the Democratic Party melt down and cry and be afraid, as they should be. Democratic Party jitters grow over Cornel West's third-party bid. Oh, no. Oh, heavens. Heavens, no. What is going on? Well, Dr. Cornel West's third-party presidential campaign is stirring up unpleasant flashbacks of 2016 for members of the Democratic Party, some of whom are starting to grow anxious about the effect it could have on President Biden's re-election. Well, then, hey, Democrats, vote blue no matter who. Maybe Biden should have followed through with some of the promises that he made towards the Bernie Sanders campaign and to the Congressional Progressive Caucus and to progressive voters. But no, he didn't. And again, Bernie Sanders and the Congressional Progressive Caucus gave him cover, said he's exceeding expectations, calling him a great president. And at AOC, remember how says, like, you know, there's ebbs and flows. It's the macro and the micro, you know, but he's exceeding expectations. Yeah, turns out, progressive voters are angry. Now, to anyone that voted for Biden because they were guilted into doing so, let this serve as a reminder. They were only trying to control you and your emotions. I get what a Trump presidency represents to people. But Biden continued on with a lot of President Trump's foreign and domestic policies. After all, the kids are still in cages. Hey, AOC, you going to do a protest anytime soon there? Yeah, probably not. West, a philosopher, Ivy League academic, and leftist, recently announced that he is newly registered with the Green Party as he seeks to challenge Biden and the eventual Republican nominee for the White House. And again, I hope that Dr. Cornel West makes it to the debate stage, and I hope that he gets 15% in the poll rating, and plus I hope he gets at least 10% or higher of the electoral votes when election night is happening in 2024. And I'll even go a step further. I hope he at least wins one electoral college state. I hope so. I hope he's able to do that. I'm saying this also just to trigger the vote blue no matter who people. Now, some prominent figures supporting Biden, from the head of the Democratic National Committee to veteran campaign hands, are already sounding alarms. They're already sounding alarms. Oh, no. Oh, no. Look, listen to this. This is not the time in order to experiment. This is not the time to play around on the margins. Oh, no. 7 years ago, when Hill Dog lost to former President Orange Cheeto Donald Trump, many in her orbit, well, what are you doing? Don't play around, Internet. Anyways, I don't know why that happened. Apologies for that. Let's see. Many in her orbit blamed Green Party nominee Jill Stein. Nope, that's not true as a factor that contributed to her defeat. Heading into 2024, Democrats worry West could emerge as a similar spoiler by earning enough votes to fracture the coalition Biden needs to win. Well, Biden gave a middle finger to that coalition. I mean, let's face it. You know, if you're part of the black community, if you're a black voter, Biden doesn't care about black people. Has he improved the lives of black people here in the United States? No. If you're a woman, you know, women, hey, guess what? Roe v. Wade died under this administration. You do realize that the Democrats did have the power even before Biden to codify Roe v. Wade. So he doesn't respect women. LGBTQ people? Pfft, ha! No, he doesn't. He doesn't care about you. Latino voters? No. Working class voters? No. This coalition, he gave it a middle finger as soon as he got into office. And again, they keep on using the same propaganda. In 2016, the Green Party played an outsized role in tipping the election to Donald Trump, wrote David Axelrod. That is false, because who's to say that all those Green Party voters would have voted for Hillary? They could have stayed home. And even if she did get the Green Party votes and the Libertarian votes, again, a quick reminder for the people in the back of the row, it doesn't matter who wins the popular vote. It matters who wins the Electoral College. Popular vote means crap. And by the way, this goes to diehard Democratic voters and diehard Republican voters. It is actually in your best interest to get rid of the Electoral College because other democracies, other republics don't have something as antiquated as what we got here. In a normal democracy, in a normal republic, popular vote is the end-all, be-all. It is in your best interest to get rid of the Electoral College. And by the way, both parties want to keep the Electoral College. The concerns come as Democrats stare down yet another possible race against Trump. Oh no, Trump. Trump, who is actually gaining a lot more popularity, and his approval rating is rising in the polls. Again, when faced off against Biden, it's a near tie. But then again, I don't want to see them debate because it's two old men fighting over a cold bowl of soup. That's why I'm voting third party, because neither party, Democrat or Republican, represents me. After multiple indictments and other potential consequential legal entanglements, he's polling well ahead of his rivals for the Republican nomination, and Democrats are already preparing for the third consecutive general election with him as their opponent. And this is a side note, too, about Donald Trump. He has forever cemented his name in American politics. Trump's name is now immortal. It will never go away. It will stay with America until the twilight finally falls upon us. That's it. So, hey, social justice warriors, keep on doing your protests. It ain't going to do nothing. Now, again, going further, Biden's allies are warning publicly that there's little room for error. If the twice impeached former president is again his party's nominee, they see a hard and unpredictable fight on the horizon and are calling for loyalty and focus. They're telling you to shut up and follow orders. They're afraid. Don't let these people bully you. And if you're a third-party voter, if you're a libertarian or green, you should be eating this up and rejoicing. They're afraid of you. The Democratic Party is afraid of you. So Green Party, libertarian people, focus, stay on your square, and work hard to get your party in your state's ballot. Work hard so that they get on the ballot and are able to lease. And this goes for all the offices that are going to be up for election or up for grabs in 2024. Let this put fuel in your fire and share this video. Be inspired today. Start your morning right and righteously angry. Dr. Cornel West's bid complicates that path to victory, some suggest. What we see is a lot of folks who want to be relevant and try to be relevant in these elections and not looking at the big picture. Oh, no, we got to reelect Joe Biden. Hey, folks, let's have democracy in the chat. I know, controversial statement. What is democracy? I've never seen it before. Type 1 if, yeah, Kit, we got to reelect Joe Biden. We got to follow orders. The Democratic Party's afraid, and I am afraid too, and I don't want to think for myself. I just need to turn off my brain and follow orders. Type 2, hell no. I'm not going to reelect Joe Biden. I'm voting third party. I'm voting independent. And if you got a problem with it, well, then cry about it on Twitter. While Democrats continue to be haunted by what happened in 2016, see, they're still traumatized by that. There are some notable differences between then and now. Clinton was, in millions of voters' minds, a highly flawed candidate with a family history and political track record that made many uncomfortable. Plus, she wasn't really a legitimate nominee. Thanks, Bernie Sanders, for being a cuck and bending over backwards because of what the DNC did to your campaign, not once but twice. Some of those voters in key battleground states found Stein, who ran twice on a Green Party ticket and is now advising West, as an appealing alternative. Yeah. After what I saw on the DNC convention in 2016 at the Wells Fargo Center, I made my decision to vote for Dr. Jill Stein, and I do it again. I do it again and again and again and again and again. There was also a widespread assumption at the time that Clinton, remember that, could beat Trump, and that third-party vote on principle would not make much of a difference. Well, that's where you're wrong. Now, Biden is different for a number of reasons, Democrats say, in part due to his policy considerations during his first term. Now, people are saying, I don't think that will happen again to the same scale, McCoy said, because Joe Biden ended the war in Afghanistan. And hey, started a whole new war in Ukraine. Okay? Democrats are just starting to express concerns about West after previously ignoring his newly formed campaign. So far, he's had some defenders. West, a surrogate for Senator Bernie Sanders in 2020, a former Harvard scholar, has been praised by those who share progressive senators' worldview, mostly for the activist-minded spirit he brings and his commitment to leftist ideology. Too bad Bernie is such a cuck that he decided to, I'm going to support my good friend Joe. His allies see his candidacy as a way to show policy distinctions with Biden and to introduce more progressive ideas to the voting public. Still, even some of his admirers acknowledge he could hurt the incumbent president in favor of the GOP. No. Here's the real truth. If you're running for office, you have to earn my vote. But hang on, I've got not one, not two, but 3 videos from corporate media showing that they're afraid of Dr. Cornel West. They're afraid. So shout out to Case Study QB. If you're not following him on Twitter, please do so. He is wrongly being censored. Let's play this first video. Hey, look, it's Jake Tapper. Tell us about your fantastic book.
Senator Manchin says his New Hampshire appearance is not necessarily about running as a third-party candidate, but you heard the language. He's not ruling it in. He's not ruling it out. What do you think? How concerned should Biden be?
Well, I think the Democratic Party and Joe Biden should be extremely concerned, but this is really just an exercise in futility. This is an exercise in arrogance. This is an exercise in a false sense of self. Many of these individuals who are running in third parties, including Senator Manchin, I mean, we have a big tent. We want Senator Manchin to be the senator from West Virginia, but actually teasing and wanting people to adore you or ridicule you or be a part of this discussion for president.
Now, again, they are talking about Joe Manchin, who is now considering running under the No Labels movement. Now, look, to anyone who's a Democratic voter or Republican voter and you don't like, let's say, libertarians or Greens, and you don't like either of your two parties, and you might be attracted or find yourself attracted to No Labels, I just want to make this very clear about what the No Labels party is. It is a combination of establishment Democratic and Republican leaders. It's just a ploy. They're centrist, they're corporatists, they're not mavericks, they're not free thinkers, and they'll give a bad name to third parties. I'm just throwing it out there. I understand there's a lot of people that might like Joe Manchin. And I understand there's a lot of people who might think that, oh, being No Label is being a maverick. It is not. It is as corporatist as it can get. That is the truth. That is the truth about it all. So just, if you're looking at voting third party, No Labels is plutonium. It's hot. It's dangerous. Don't touch it. Just throwing it out there for that.
Of the United States, that it's really only arrogance. Joe Biden had a successful or has a successful tenure going as president. I think everybody should get behind him and support him. The Joe Manchins, the Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s, the Cornel West, they're all in the same bucket. And they are just running either to be here with David and I as political commentators or to try to find some exit ramp.
Senator Manchin says his New Hampshire appearance is not necessarily about running as a third-party candidate, but you heard the language. He's not ruling it in. He's not ruling it out. What do you think? How concerned should Biden be?
Well, I think the Democratic Party and Joe Biden should be extremely concerned, but this is really just an exercise in futility. This is an exercise in arrogance. This is an exercise.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know it was going to be playing again. Apologies for that. That was part 1. Let's go ahead and move on now to part 2.
David, Democrats have been worried for quite some time about the potential for this group, No Labels, to play a spoiler role in 2024, splitting the Democratic vote, even just enough of the Democratic vote. Let's say they take 5% of it for Manchin if he runs, and which would hand the election theoretically to Trump or DeSantis. Former Republican Senator Bob Corker of Tennessee, David, told the Washington Post that concern is much ado about nothing. He said, quote, "The last thing that this group wants to do is be known as the group that elected Donald Trump." And I just scratched my head at the Democrats having their hair on fire about this. What do you think?
Yeah, well, listen, I don't think that, I think Senator Corker may be underestimating the No Labels, the seriousness of their efforts and undertaking. If you listen to them talk and hear them, they're out to get on every ballot and on every state in the union to have ballot access, which as you know is no mean feat. And if they do so, it will really impact this election. As you noted, this is going to be an extremely close race. Let's just assume that it's President Biden versus President Trump.
That's not to assume. It's probably going to be the case. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to RFK Jr., who again, is the only real legitimate candidate challenging Joe Biden. Marianne Williamson's campaign is dead and gone. All it is nothing more than a fantastic book sale. All right, so let's just end it right there with Marianne Williamson. She's gone and irrelevant. But looking at this entire election cycle, let's face it, the DNC has already admitted that they're going to be weighing in on the primaries. And to all these people who are saying that Dr. Cornel West should run in a Democratic Party, again, the DNC has indicated that there will be no debates. There will be nothing of that nature. They're all in for the incumbent Joe Biden. And yes, Trump is universally popular amongst Republican voters. And no, it's not an endorsement of Trump, but my job on this show is to go through these articles, go through these information, and share it with all of you and present facts as best as I can. And let's face it, Trump is popular with his voting base. He knows how to rally the crowd. So yes, it will probably be Biden versus Trump. And a third-party vote is needed now more than ever.
It'll be an extremely close race, 1 point or 2 points either direction. And having a third-party candidate in the race could affect the outcome either direction. Although with Senator Manchin getting in the race, a Democrat, it would probably draw more votes from the Democratic side of the aisle. So it is a cause for concern if you're on the Democratic ticket. If you're President Trump or Ron DeSantis or Chris Christie or anybody else running, I think you'd be, you're kind of encouraging the run.
David.
Well, let's move on to this other one, because now they're discussing if Cornel West is actually a threat to getting more black voters for his campaign. Here, let's listen to the big brain people at CNN. Shout out again to Case Study QB, who's wrongly being censored.
Mayor Bottoms, when you talk about the situation, obviously you've got Joe Manchin and Jonah mentioned RFK Jr., who's running in the primaries, but you've got a Green Party candidate who's going to be on that final ballot, right? I mean, that's the way it goes. A Green Party is a party. Cornel West. David Axelrod was saying he's worried about Cornel West. He believes that could cost Biden dearly, right?
And you know what? I don't care if it costs Biden dearly. Okay, Biden abandoned his voting base. Biden decided to continue on with a lot of Trump's foreign and domestic policies. It was Biden who said that, hey, everyone, time for you to go to brunch. By the way, again, let's look at all the things that happened under this administration, okay? Now, again, Roe v. Wade, gone. Our economy is struggling. People are struggling day in, day out just to make ends meet. You have heard numerous independent media networks talk about this. Hell, all of you are talking about it even after you're done watching our shows. We know the problems that are happening out there. And no one has confidence in Joe Biden. Plus, again, Joe Biden is 80 years old. If he gets reelected, he'll be the oldest sitting president in U.S. history. We don't need somebody in their 80s in the White House. He is not fit mentally or physically for the job.
Right? You just have to siphon off a few thousand votes in a few states. Do you worry that a progressive African-American candidate is going to appeal more to black voters who have been cooling to Biden in recent polls? We see it in recent polls. Support for Biden among African-Americans dropped from 84% in 2021. It's down to 56% earlier this year.
And that's something Joe Biden did to his voting base amongst African-Americans.
I mean, that's a stunning plunge.
Yeah, I'm more concerned, Aaron, about African-American voters and voters in general staying at home than I am about a third-party candidate. It's not ideal. Obviously.
And you know what? Look, I get that there are people who are burnt out by electoral politics. And they have every right to say, no, I'm not going to participate. My only thing I will ask, if you do live in a state that's citizen ballot initiative state, find out what's being proposed, fight for the good ones, vote against the bad ones, and then that's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to vote for any other politician. But if you live in a citizen ballot initiative state and you don't want to vote, at least help out with the citizen ballot initiatives. That's all I'll ask. Then you can give a middle finger to everyone in the room and enjoy the rest of the day. Pour yourself a cup of tea or something.
Every single vote will matter. But what we are seeing are voters are becoming increasingly unhappy with elected officials. That's not particular.
As they should. Voters should be angry with elected officials.
To President Biden. But again, I believe that when the policies are focused on in the midst of a campaign, when people are reminded of how the American Rescue Plan Fund sent money to cities in Atlanta. It stopped us from having to furlough city employees. It allowed us to do things that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. When these type policies, I think, are put in front of the voters at the height of a campaign, I'm less concerned about a third-party candidate. Do I wish that there were not a third-party candidate? Certainly. Cornel West has a lot of respect, not just in the African-American community, but across the country. So do I wish that he were not a candidate? I certainly do, because we know that the margins will be thin, but I'm still very confident that President Biden will be reelected.
We've heard that before. We have heard that before from the establishment media, that Biden has this in the bag. Yeah, right. Again, enjoy it. If you're a third-party voter, rejoice. The DNC and corporate media are afraid of you.
It's not the only threat.
But I'm talking specifically about Biden.
It's not the only threat, and we mentioned Jill Stein. The Green Party is on the ballot in most every state,
Right.
And Cornel West is going to be trying to be the candidate for the Green Party. And many Democrats, including our colleague David Axelrod, the former architect of the Obama campaign, is really causing, he says that this should raise the alarm among Democrats, particularly in the blue wall, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Would he siphon votes away from Biden? So we're a long ways away from the general election, but plenty of time for Democratic bedwetting and hand-wringing.
That's the biggest threat.
And you know what? I'm glad that the Democrats are crapping the bed and wetting the bed and put into a fetal position. For too long, the Democratic Party has been smearing us, has been talking down to us, telling us to wait, keep our powder dry. The Democratic Party, especially with its new Congressional Progressive Caucus members, have done nothing to improve our daily lives. They're enriching themselves and living their best lives. They are always on the front cover of magazines or newspaper articles. They're the ones who are telling us that, oh, don't worry, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and everything will be fine. Well, no, everything is not fine. You see, the DNC, the Democratic establishment, everybody within that party want to use fear tactics to make you subservient and obedient. The Republican Party does the same thing too to its voters as well. But I want to focus exclusively on the Democratic Party because they preach things like free speech, journalism, social justice rights, and so much more. But they don't believe in any of that. And if they really did, they would have fought harder for you and on the social issues, but they chose not to. It's not that the Democrats are stupid. No, the Democrats know what they're doing. You see, I've brought this comparison up before. The Republicans are the Harlem Globetrotters and the Democrats are the Washington Generals. So it's all an act. The Democrats know what they're doing. They do it on purpose to lose. Even when they have the supermajority, they could have codified Roe v. Wade. They could have. They really could have. But they chose not to. Why? Because they like to do fear and fundraising. Fear and fundraising. Fear is causing fear to all of you voters, saying, oh, you got to give us money so that way we could fight for a woman's right or student debt forgiveness or Medicare for all. And then they have you they do that fundraising. They make you afraid. They take away your ability to think critically. When if you really look back, anytime you might have supported the Democratic Party, think about how many times you've been bombarded by emails by the DNC. It's more than once. So I want to pull up this last video here. Well, not a last video, but an article. Jill Stein explains why she thinks Dr. Cornel West is the right person for America in 2024. Dr. Jill Stein, a two-time Green Party presidential nominee, has now joined forces with Dr. Cornel West, the new face of the party. West, a former Harvard professor and left-wing social justice activist, announced in June he was entering the 2024 presidential contest, running for truth and justice. Stein says she wants to further his cause and has signed on to serve as West's campaign manager. That's fantastic. I believe that it could be temporary until there's maybe another person to step up. So she is helping. I know that RBN did a phenomenal analysis on this article, so be sure to check out their channel after the show. Dr. Cornel West is the right person for America, Stein tells Forbes Newsroom, adding that he is a spokesperson for everyday people. Stein, who says that she initially wanted West to be her running mate back when she was the Green Party nominee, calls her work on his campaign an extension for their decades of collaboration in various social movements. Stein served as the Green Party presidential nominee, who most recently in 2016, and earned the ire of Democrats who accused her of swiping some votes that contributed to Hillary Clinton's loss. No, Hillary Clinton lost because she was a terrible candidate. In several states, Stein's votes share exceeded the difference between Clinton's loss and victory. 7 years later, does Stein believe she bears responsibility for the former Secretary of State's defeat? I love this. Absolutely not. She emphatically tells Forbes Newsroom, I think voters really resent being told how they have to vote. Again, everybody has to earn our votes. Everybody has to earn our votes. Nobody owns our votes. That's just antithetical to the basic idea of democracy. Here, remember this. Words from Dr. Jill Stein. I think voters really resent being told how they have to vote. Everybody has to earn our votes. Nobody owns our votes. Let that ring true in all of your hearts, and let that forever give that fuel to your fire, knowing for the fact that the Democratic Party is working double the effort now to raise up the fear of a third-party run. If you're a part of the Green Party, if you're part of the Libertarian Party, or if you're part of another political party, independent, not affiliate, this is your time to shine. This is the time for the real majority to speak out. 50% of Americans identify themselves as independents. The time has come to dismiss the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, because those politicians in the DNC and RNC, they don't like you, they don't think about you, and they sure as hell don't respect you.